And bullying. What'd you just do?
Nothing.
The director is supposed to help the process and make the filming go better. Hey everybody, Deathblade here with another Chinese fantasy novel FAQ. I have two super quick announcements before I get started. Number one is, as I mentioned in one of the recent posts on YouTube, my mic has died, so we're using the camera microphone for this video as well as the last video. The sound quality is not quite as good. The upside for that is that I'm going to be able to send the mic back to the manufacturer and get it either fixed or replaced because it's still under warranty, so that's good. The other thing is, I mentioned in a video a while back that I had surgery on the right half of my mouth. Just a couple days ago I had it on the left half, and I've still got a whole bunch of stitches, even more stitches this time than last time. I took my very last pain pill this morning, and I think it's probably already worn off by now, or at least it's starting to wear off. So let's hope I don't faint from the pain in the middle of this video. I'm just kidding, it actually doesn't really hurt that much. Anyway, let's get started. So today I'm talking about bullies and bullying in Chinese fantasy novels. And this isn't going to be a super long video because it's, I think, a fairly straightforward topic. First, let's talk about the verb to bully, and that is qifu. Now, qifu is actually a really common word in Chinese. You're going to hear it all the time, whether it's dealing with young ones all the way to old ones. It covers a variety of situations, and when you look it up in the dictionary, the primary definition is bully. And there are other definitions. One of the most common ones I see in the Chinese to English dictionaries is to take advantage of someone. And from what I've seen in my personal experience, I think you could also translate it as to pick on or to cause trouble for someone. I used to teach kids ages as young as 3 up to 9 or 10, and it would be a common thing for the Chinese teacher in the classroom to tell the kids to not bully each other, but it wasn't really bullying in the sense that we think of in the Western world with the English word bully. It's more just, like I mentioned, kind of picking on or causing trouble for other kids. And so sometimes in the Chinese fantasy novels, if you see the word bully used as a verb, I don't think it takes on the charged connotation that it usually does in English. In English, whether you're talking about kids on the schoolyard or whether you're talking about adults in the workplace, someone who bullies other people usually uses their superior, maybe size and strength, or their position of power to really cause problems for other people and take advantage of them. As opposed to in Chinese, I feel like it's not as dramatic. Now, let's get on to the noun version of bully. And here's where things kind of get complicated, because in Chinese, there isn't really a word that means bully in the noun sense of the verb, the same as we use it in English. Now, there are a couple of terms which if you look them up in the dictionary, they will have bully as noun, and I've actually seen these used synonymously with bully in English. In fact, I was just watching a video the other day on a channel called Fight Commentary Breakdowns, and it's a Chinese guy who breaks down mostly Chinese martial arts related combat, MMA, Wing Chun, and he had a video. I'm going to try to track it down, but this was a while ago that I saw it, and he actually used the exact Chinese characters that I'm going to talk about in a second with the word bully. So there technically are words that can be translated as bully, but the thing is, they don't carry the same feeling and meaning that they do in English. So when in English we talk about a bully, that really conjures up a very specific image. Again, there's no perfect word in Chinese that carries the exact same meaning and connotation as English. Now, there's a couple words that do get translated as bully that I'm going to talk about now. When I was asking Madame Deathblade about it, the first thing that she said was ba wang, and if you look it up in the dictionary, I'll pull it up here right now. As you can see, it says some of the most relevant definitions are going to be hegemon, overlord, despot. So as you can see, just by looking at the dictionary, it doesn't really perfectly correspond to the English term bully. There's another term that comes up, I'll pull it up here, and you'll see that's ba, and it has similar definitions: evil, tyrant, local tyrant, or despot. If you go down here, you can see that it also has a local bully, and so that's where I think the bully connection comes in, and basically means essentially the same thing: somebody who has a position of power and authority and who abuses that power and authority. But again, when you say that word, I think it's a little bit different from what we think of as the schoolyard bully, you know, the big tough guy who picks on the little kids. Now, I think many of you who watch my channel and who are followers of my work, when I talk about bullies, you're probably going to think of one specific thing, and that comes from the novel I Shall Seal the Heavens. If you haven't read that novel or you don't know what it's about, I did a video here where I just kind of introduce it really quickly. There's a character in that novel who frequently references bullies, specifically a certain number of bullies. I'm sure all of you out there who have read the novel will know what I'm talking about. In that novel, the character uses the specific word ba, which I just brought up. So when he actually uses it the first time in the novels, it really does conform with the primary definition of a local tyrant, something along those lines. People who rule in the area and then oppress the local people. But as he continues to use it throughout the novel, it kind of branches out beyond that to include basically just bad guys, essentially. And so when I was going through the novel I Shall Sow the Heavens and translating it the first time, came across this term, did a little research, I saw that definition in the dictionary of local bully, and I was like, I think bully really does fit the feeling of what he's saying, and so I went on to translate Eba as bully. Now, what I found is that when I was translating I Shall Sow the Heavens, I really didn't know what I was doing. I had translated some Wuxia novels, but not any of the really high fantasy Xianxia, Xuanhua novels. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't really understand when I first came across it. A lot of that stuff I would research, I would ask Madame Deathblade about, I would look it up in the dictionary, and I would say that a good maybe 85 to 90% of the time I was spot on with my choice of translation. I went with my feeling, and in this case I still feel that I made a good choice to go with bully for Ba. There were a few things in I Shall Sow the Heavens where I ended up picking wrong, either because of not understanding the language or not understanding the story in general, but this isn't one of them. And so for those of you who read I Shall Sow the Heavens and have seen that bully reference a lot, now you know that there's a little bit more behind the term than you might initially think of. So again, this is a relatively short video. If you like this content, please do like and subscribe and share. You can go down and support me on Patreon. This video was actually the topic voted by patrons for this week. Not every single video is voted by the patrons, but they do get those of a certain sponsor level do get to vote. So if you like the channel and you want to support, go down there and make sure to vote on the topics. Thank you to everybody who is a patron on Patreon or who supports in other ways. I really, really appreciate it. That's it for this video. I'll see you next time. Godspeed.